to doing the Saab today, and needless to say, it starts right here, the expansion tank for the system. Now, one thing that's good an idea to do, guys, is you're going to see what I mean when I'm talking about here. It's good to replace this cover, first of all, about every 3 years. Otherwise, you're going to take it off and you're going to get this broken. Now I have to try to get pliers in there and get this thing out of there. That's one thing. I was getting some coolant leakage, although you couldn't see it, so it was really minor. And all the research I did basically shows the expansion tank can get micro fractures, cracks. So it's good to replace that. It's not that too bad of a deal. It's kind of messy. And the neat thing about when you buy the expansion tank, it also comes with new hoses. These are old. This is a double layer here, so I'll make it look a lot nicer. But I take these and I basically wrap them in heat tape. That way they never swell, dry out, and go bad, or none of that stuff. So again, new set of hoses. We'll rewrap those. We'll put them on. And while I'm at it, you can see that. Okay, I just basically leaned on this the other day and it just fractures. So this gets nice and crunchy and brittle after a while, again, because of the heat. I just got a new one from Aero parts for the Saab, and it's a lot softer, more pliable, so maybe it's a better plastic that they use, but we'll kind of get to that at the end of all this. For now, the biggest thing will be getting this off, draining as much fluid as I can, getting the hoses off, and then getting ready to put the new ones on. Battery covers right here. It's a lot softer, more pliable. Of course, I'm sure over time it will dry out. Some of the people, especially if you take it to the wrong person, they think that this is just dress-up stuff, and they'll take and they'll smash this into place. Well, these little cogs that are on here looks like a screw. As you turn them, it opens and closes these teeth. So you don't want someone to have these closed and then smash them into place, because they end up breaking it, like this one place did on warranty many years ago when the Saab was new, and we made them basically go ahead and buy us a new one. The other thing that this does is seal your battery, because just like airplanes and different jets, there's an air intake here, goes into the battery compartment. That's what the cover's for. Circulates cold air, and it's exhausted back here. That extends the life of your battery. So this isn't just a dress up like some of the mechanics think it is, that just kind of push these in, smash them, and end up breaking the teeth, and they think it's just a dress up cover. No, no, no. This actually serves a purpose. That's what this little ductwork and stuff is here for. A lot of the jets I fly have this, and I'm so sure the Saab jets have a rammer cooling system for the aircraft battery, and they carry that over into their cars. My wife gets a longer life out of her battery than I do out of my FJ. So on Aero parts, this is about $53. I know it's a lot of money, but it serves a purpose, and it's worth every penny. A long time ago I got these. I have either metal or stainless steel tie wraps I'm going to use, along with some heat tape. I got lots of it here. After I wrap the hoses with this, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I put this on the end of each so it never comes loose. And then of course it's got the clamps, which is also really nice. It actually comes with the hose, so I'll go ahead and reuse these clamps instead of some ones that I have. Again, I'm going to take my time wrapping these before I go ahead and do this. This will end up being part of the tank. This is the surge tank here. It's actually really heavy. A lot nicer than I thought it was going to be. So again, I looked over the whole thing. It looks good. I think my new one, maybe in some of the areas here, since there was a thermostat problem at one time and the car overheated, that pressure buildup inside here might have actually fractured one of these little seam welds and stuff. I mean, I wish this was aluminum, but plastic is the way they do it. This is going to be the sensor here. I've already got the dielectric grease in there, so when I put it back together, there's a hose that I'm going to show you guys that's buried below this, and you have to get a hold of a clip and pull it out, because that clip basically, you can see there's a line here, one on the other side. That little clip basically slides down, snaps into place, and that's what holds that hose on, because this is under pressure from popping off. So the biggest thing when we take that clip off is to make sure we don't lose it. Use a good pair of pliers or whatever you need, and we'll talk about that. So let's get back over and work on that cap that's basically stuck in there. A few years ago I went ahead and replaced this. This is basically some from the automotive shop, some reflective heat shield. And I basically cut it. It's about 200 to 300% bigger than the original one, and it comes with an adhesive I never trusted. So I taped it off and sprayed the spray adhesive on here and on the back of this, contact cement type spray adhesive, and you let it dry until it feels just barely tacky. Then you only got one shot once you put it on, but at least once it's on, it's not going anywhere. So again, that's a lot bigger. That gives me more protection on the hood and all this area here. These are just some aftermarket type fasteners I use because I didn't like the other ones. They could come out too easy, so I went ahead and used these. Okay, there's the problem right there. So I think we'll work on getting this out of here. Then we'll take these off. Then we'll go ahead and drain the tank, pull this out, disconnect it, get the new one in, get the fluid in, burp it, and then hopefully, knock on wood, we should be good to go. It always sounds easier than it actually is. Okay, so using a pair of duckbill needle nose pliers, I already pulled it out, but I just grabbed the whole of this lip and yanked it straight up, and out it came. So it wasn't quite as bad as I thought it was going to be. Some of the pieces that had broken off. A little spring popped out, I grabbed that. So now we just need to take out the fluid. So I'm going to go down in there with a little siphon pump I have and crank out the fluid, then get these disconnected and removed. Alright, so that's how much came out so far. I'm not going to reuse it. So if you want, just make sure you have some fresh fluid ready to go back into your cooling system before you start this. Again, it never hurts to put fresh stuff in. Even when you loosen these up and pull these back, it's really hard to get this off. So you can use a pick. I'm going to use this little guy here to get under here and to kind of break the seal and then get this to pull off. But unfortunately, I need two hands. Okay, no matter what you do, it's always going to make a mess. Just make sure you have plenty of rags around, especially when you remove the hose from the bottom of this. I'm going to do the best I can to stay clean, but I'm sure I'll end up having to bring it out and give it a good wash in the driveway, especially with a good thunderstorm coming in. So again, we'll get the pick under here, get these off of here, and move on and work on getting some more fluid out of here, and then get that tank out of there. Okay, what I would definitely suggest doing, which is what I did, is using my cell phone or a camera, whatever you want to use. I took a couple pictures of the routing of these hoses, which one goes on the bottom, which one goes on the top, which end goes where, and it's always a good thing to do just in case you get into it and you think, oh my god, where did that go? So here's what we're looking at so far. These are all cleaned up, and you can see there's some rubber on here. That's why these basically really get stuck, and using a hose removal tool or just a pick to get under there and go around the hose to be able to break the seal, then it comes right off. The same thing with on this side. So those are really good tools to use. And then just make sure it's completely cleaned off, which we did. So what I'm going to try to do and is just get down, I got most of it, see if I can't get any more of that fluid out, and then get this pulled out, and I'll show you guys what it looks like behind here. So the expansion tank has a couple tabs on each side, and all I did was lift up to clear it and then pull forward, and that basically releases it. They still don't give you a whole lot of room, so it's going to take a couple hands. So let me see if I can get this freed up, and I'll show you guys that connector, or the best that I can, and then I'll try to show you that little clip that you definitely want to take your time with. Alright, so that's the plug down there, the one that we greased on the new one. And because it gets so darn hot in here, everything gets brittle. The clip that holds it on snapped off. That's always nice. And of course, grabbing a hold of it, I could not get it out with my fingers, so I gently grabbed some pliers and it just disintegrated. But fortunately, it looks like it's all in pretty good shape. I just have to make sure that the pin is all the way in, that little blue portion there. And I might have to go ahead and touch this up. Oh god, probably with some RTV, a little bit of electrical tape. And it does have 3 of these, looks like gaskets here, so that should pretty much hold it into place without it coming loose. I might put just a smidge of RTV, just a dab on there, so when it dries it actually will hold it in place a little easier. But I need to make sure this is all in and that the plug is going to be okay. I mean, it looks okay on that side, but I just want to double check and make sure with a screwdriver. And like I said, I need to get this cleaned up now. Alright, that little connector there was actually cracked also. So I need something strong to hold that together, and I don't want to wait 24 hours for any RTV to go ahead and cure up. So I'm going to use some JB Weld, very little to fill in that gap, and maybe get it around that crack and stuff too. Again, there's not a lot of exertion that goes on that, but I'd rather make sure that the at least the plug itself is going to be okay since it was cracked. And that way here, this will take about 15 minutes, and that'll give me plenty of time to start wrapping the new hoses. And by the time I get back to it, it should be nice and dry. So, time for some JB Weld. That's what we're looking at here. That's going to go ahead and harden up. And that'll fix this. And then, like I said, I'll put just a dab of RTV on the green gasket when I push in. That'll help hold it in place. Just a smidge, though. I don't want this to be too hard the next time I go to take it out. So I think the next time I go to replace this, hopefully I won't have to, but if I do, I'm going to make sure I get in there and order this thing here. Okay, when it comes to these, there's a little end and a fatter end. That's why you have two different size clips that are on here. Same thing this here. This one's a little bit thicker and this one's thinner. And again, the two different size clips. So I'm going to go ahead and get these wrapped up. I'm going to give them a quick wipe with alcohol because there's a little bit of a film on there. I want that heat wrap to go ahead and stick. So we'll get that on, and at the same time we'll go ahead and use some stainless steel tie wraps to hold it in. I'll go ahead and preset these things ready to go. And then when we put these on, they'll be all done and protected from the turbo heat shield. That's the alcohol I use. A good thing about this stuff, if you have any cuts on your fingers you don't know about, as soon as you get this on it, you will know. Okay, so these have been cleaned off. Quite a bit of grime came off there. Again, I'm sure they hit it with a preservative, which is good, but I just want to get the top layer off so I can get that heat wrap to go ahead and stick to it well. And like I said, then we'll go ahead and bond those. So let me get these wrapped up, and I'll show you guys how that comes out. Alright, so this is the first one all wrapped up. I don't think I'm going to have to use the stainless steel tie wraps. It looks like these clips will basically hold the, once I push this on and put the clips in place, they should be able to pinch half of this and hold it in place. Also, once these heat up, it releases the adhesive a bit better, and you'll get a better bond. So that's one all wrapped up and ready to go, all protected from the heat. And this will be more of the pain in the rear end one, so let's go ahead and get this one next. Definitely be liberal on this heat tape. I kind of doubled it up in certain areas, especially getting around these bins. Again, this isn't 100%, but this will make it last probably at least 500% longer than if it wasn't protected. And those are ready to go. These are the type of pliers I use. You can use anything you want, but these seem to work pretty good with these clips so they don't slip off and fly all over the place. So this is ready to go. Let's go ahead and see how the epoxy is drying up. Alright, this is what I use to basically spread it out. That's hard enough. Now let's go check the connector. Okay, that seems pretty hard. So we're going to leave this on and just kind of bend this out of the way. I'll work on getting the tank out and getting that bottom hose off. And of course, I'm sure there's going to be fluid that's going to go all over the place no matter what I do. So when I'm done, I'll have the garage floor to basically go ahead and clean up. Now rinse out the engine compartment. Then probably run it and top it off while it's sitting out in the driveway. But for now, I need to get down under here where that hose connects, and you can see that clip right there. And I picked that up and some came out of here. That's nice. So no matter what I do, there's going to be kind of a mess, and I'll make sure that when I start it, I get it out in the driveway pretty quick before this gets a chance to get too hot, so I can give it a good rinse off. But that's basically what I'm looking at. It's going to be a mess. Alright, I kind of use this little guy here to get down there on the leading edge of that clip, loosen it up, then reach in there with a pair of needle nose and pull it out. You don't need to pull it completely off. You just need to slide it up like that there. Now hopefully that'll allow me to get that connector off. Well, not too much of a problem. I'll get this rag down in there to catch anything. And then now the new one's basically ready to go in. Easier said than done, right guys? So that's what it looks like. This little clip there, you pull that back, and then the new one slips on. There's actually an eye piece down there, so it only goes on one way. Big one at the bottom, small one at the top. I'll probably suck a little of that fluid out of there since it's old. And then that's it. When you put it back in, I would say you do reverse. Put this on first, then go ahead and plug the connector in. Hopefully yours is in better shape than mine. Snap this back into place. And it wasn't too bad, guys. I just had to keep working a little bit, wiggling the box around, and finally it let go. But I was a little confused. You don't want to get down there with a screwdriver and push on this and maybe try to pry it out that way, just in case this cracks, since everything is pretty brittle. But just keep wiggling it around back and forth and stuff like that, and it does eventually come off. It wasn't too bad. Again, this clip here, you don't have to pull all the way out. Just pull it out to something like this, about a ½ an inch. It comes to a stop, and leave it right there. So the rag caught most of it. It's not going to be too much of a mess, just a little bit. Like I said, I'll get the fluid out, and we'll get the box in. Alright, once you guys get into this, putting this clip back on, or I should say that hose down there, is kind of a pain. And another thing I found is that little clip that you snap shut and locks it into these little grooves. The grooves weren't very clear, so on this tank, the brand new tank, I took a hacksaw blade and just gently opened up those grooves, And then of course the clip snapped right back on, and now it's all held in place. So the next thing, we're going to go ahead and put this in. Again, I'm going to put just a dab of RTV on here. Get that in there, and then we'll get this down into place, and we'll start with adding some fluid and all that. But yeah, this has actually been more of a pain in the butt. One, because the plastic is brittle, it's old, it adds extra stuff to whatever you're doing. And then getting a brand new tank from Saab, those little grooves that clip goes onto, they weren't very clear. In other words, they were partly obstructed, and when you snap that little snap ring down there closed, that silver one, as soon as you went to pull on this, it just let go. So anyway guys, just some things you have to worry about when you do this. Finished product is the new hoses wrapped in heat shield. This is the tank. Of course, we got a nice new cap on there. Right now it's full. I still need to pull it out of the garage, start it, let it burp, and then recheck the level. Okay, so here's the new battery cover installed. Sorry about the flashlight here. Yeah, I'm out in the garage. Okay, what I ended up having to do is the clamps that this came with, they weren't strong enough. Okay, so I had leaking out of both these hoses here. And I ended up using these type of band clamps, and I'll give you a better view of those. I ended up having to use the stainless steel tie wrap there, just to make sure nothing unravels in the future. And the same thing down here. Okay, these are stainless steel clamps. They work a little bit better than your typical band clamp, and I'll kind of show you guys that. So that's what I ended up having to do. I just didn't want to leave you hanging and have you use the ones from the factory, and they weren't strong enough because of the heat shrink. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take a look at those clamps. So these are the clamps that it came with. Again, they're nice, but they're just not strong enough to go ahead and pinch that hose hard enough that you're not going to get any leaks. So I'll just save these for some other time. I got this multi-bin here. These are all stainless steel. I like to use these versus this thing here. There's different sizes for different hoses, and it gives you a better clamping force all the way around than these. I mean, this will work. If you guys have these, you want to use them, that's cool. I just really prefer these here. So I ended up using, let's see here, the 16, 18 millimeter size for the larger size of that hose. And down here, this looks like the 13 to 15 millimeter 5-piece for the smaller size. And you can crank these down as you saw on there. Even after I cranked them down, I let the carb warm up, get up to pressure and up to heat, and there was still just a slight bit of seepage. But the neat thing is you can really torque these things down, and that's because the hose was soft and pliable and allowed some of the pressurized fluid to leak out. So torque these down. It's completely bone dry now, and it's just something you have to deal with whenever you're trying to work with cooling and stuff. So I got this from Amazon. Again, I like the stainless steel for obvious reasons, and you guys can use whatever you want to, but just to let you know, these may not be strong enough to do the trick. Try to keep a pretty good assortment of different types of clamps. This is similar to what I just showed you, except these are regular metal. That's why I had to order some that were stainless steel. And that's it. That took care of that job for today. So guys, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, or hit that bell notification for future content.